See, one point I would like to know is how to drop the doership. I think this sense of doership is strongly connected with the sense of individuality. That is
With
the
the
whole
is strongly connected
sense
with.
of the sense of individuality. You are a
Yeah.
separate self. I somehow I think I must, as Ravana says, you must get out of that. But I don't know how. It looks so artificial when I say I'm not the doer, because that sense is so well inbuilt.
Yes.
I just want to know where to begin.
No, first thing is that everybody gets this question. You all get the question that Leelaji is asking. It's the most fundamental question.
No, sir, I don't understand it.
You don't understand. This is the most fundamental question. That how can we find God or truth? So everything that we are experiencing is the truth, is God. Everything is a manifestation of God. But when we look at one another, we see different individuals, we find different tendencies. When we look at this camera, which is recording this session, or through which my image is being conveyed to you, I just think it is only a camera. It has nothing to do with the truth. And when I see my screen where people are being displayed in gallery mode, I see some people live and some people appearing only as pictures. So there is always an experience and there is an experiencer. But we do not know how this difference can dissolve. The other thing is that why is this difference there? Because there is a sense of doership. So what is that doership? We are different personalities. Everybody agrees that we are all different personalities.
Yes.
What is a personality? Personality comes from the Greek word persona. And persona essentially means a mask. So in the ancient times, dramas were very popular in Greece. And people who played different characters, they used to wear masks. And it is from there that the word persona came and then personality came. So no matter who we are always a mask. So somebody may think, oh, I am good, I am so good. But the moment this thought comes that I am so good, by implication, a conclusion is there that others are not so good. So duality has been created. My religion is the best. You look at history, in the name of religion, the worst kind of wars have happened. The worst kind of carnages have happened. People from a religion that others consider inferior, they have been targeted, massacred, killed. Why? in the name of religion, in the name of proving a point. So this is the mask. I gave a very brutal example, but this is how it is in our daily life. We live in a family and we have some ideas about how or what other family members are. So if there is somebody whom we don't value much, and that person comes up with an idea or a suggestion, we immediately discount it because we think he is or she is not good enough. It's a mask. When I was growing up, there was a lot of conflict between my mother and my father. My mother had her own expectations, her own ideas, my father had his own. And whenever there would be a discussion or an argument, my father would immediately point out to the fact that she had not been educated. Now, this whole concept that simply because a person is not educated, he or she is not good enough, this is a concept. So, we not only wear our own masks, our own personalities, our judgments, we also invest others, we see others through that mask. Now, if we really want to know the truth, we must drop that mask. And how will the mask be dropped? Only when we do some introspection and figure out how this mask is guiding us in all our thoughts, our words, our actions, our behavior. So the mask has to be dropped. And it is that mask which makes us the doer. Because in everything in life, we think that unless I do something, or I have to do something, otherwise things will go out of hand. So all the time in our life, if we look at ourselves, we are only trying to control our actions. We are only trying to control others through our actions. So if I have an idea, which I think is great, I want everybody else to follow that idea. Even if I have to do some verbal violence, even if I have to put that person down and make that person believe that, oh, he or she is not good enough, he or she cannot take his own independent decision, and he must become a follower or a slave instead of being an independent person with his or her own judgment and her own decisions. So this is how it happens. Throughout our life, we are always doing something with a sense of doership. And what is doership? When our actions are determined by some kind of thought of personal gain, personal rising up, something personal. Even the very thought of the idea or this idea that I must become enlightened is doership. Because we have decided that I must do something so that at the end of that action I will become enlightened. I will know everything. I will become a different person. So what happens is that because the truth resides inside us as us, we do not need to do anything. we must drop this idea of being the doer. And there is truth. It is all that remains. Like we gave the example one day of light and darkness. There is a lot of struggle, there is a lot of thought that goes into this kind of action, that I must be having some ignorance and that ignorance must be removed. But fact of the matter is that there is no such thing as ignorance, because there is no such thing as darkness. Absence of light is darkness. And when a source of light is brought into a dark place, it gets lighted, it gets illumined, and everything is seen very clearly. So much in the same way, when we become more aware, when there is the light of awareness that is placed on everything that we are doing, then there is nothing else to do. Everything falls into place. But as long as this is not there and we are acting through our concepts, then we miss the whole point. And there is a good Mullah Nasruddin story. In that story, Mullah was a drunkard. And he did not have a child. So there was a lot of effort going on, a lot of prayers were done. And finally his wife conceived. And the time of childbirth came. Mullah was sitting in the market and news arrived that yes, his wife has delivered a very healthy baby boy. And Mullah was so pleased. He was going home to see the baby, and this thought arose. It's such a great celebration, I must drink. So what happened? He went to the nearest bar. Some old friends were seen, and it became a night-long drinking session. Finally, he arrived at home. He was the spectacle. The joy of having had a baby was left behind. Of course, he was acting as if he was very happy, very pleased. He was congratulating his wife in a voice that was slurred, and it was very difficult for him to hold his posture. He was falling down repeatedly. So what is happening here? Because he was under the influence of his tendencies, even a great event like having a son after so many years of trial and error, he missed the joy. So what is important is that we must be aware. And when there is awareness, there is no doer. You live in the present moment and you enjoy, or you do what is necessary. Because when we are aware, there is light on the inside. There is no darkness. So this is a very important question which Leelaji asked. How do we get out of doership? And she said so poignantly, when I think I am not the doer, it looks very artificial. So it is artificial as long as it is just a thought. I am not the doer. It is artificial just when it is a thought, like Lajaji pointed out yesterday that we talked of communicating with the souls at the soul level. And she said it's a good idea. So as long as it is an idea or a thought, the point has been missed. But when we begin to bring greater awareness to it, then by and by we start getting closer. Of course, a person who is really searching, that person would always think that it is just an idea for now. I am not getting it. I am not able to live in that awareness. You are meditating, you go deep within, and you become very happy. You think that, oh, I am so contented. There is such inner peace. I had never experienced it like this. And then after the meditation session is over, something happens on the outside and you lose your cool, or something turns out to be very challenging, and the doership takes over. So it is something that you keep doing again and again, and you are going to fail again and again. But by not getting disappointed, by not bringing your own ego there, that, oh, I tried and I failed, it's not happening for me and I shouldn't be doing it anymore. Keep at it. Do it with love, do it with surrender, and then someday, in this lifetime, or maybe another lifetime, or maybe yet another lifetime, there will be a permanent shift, and the sense of the small I or the doer will disappear. And one knows that this is God's plan and I have to flow with it. That's it. So it is absolutely fine to say that I think I must drop the doer, but when I say that I am not the doer, it is very artificial. Yes, it is all artificial because that shift has not happened. It's like a person who goes to a driving school the first day and there is somebody sitting by the side and says, oh, this is clutch and this is the brake, this is the steering, this is the horn, these are the gears, and this is how the car runs. But for a person who is starting on day one, it is very difficult for him. Oh my God, how do I control everything? I forget if my foot is on the accelerator, then I have to shift and reduce the speed, so go to the brake, go to the clutch. How do I do this? Because initially everything has to be done with great awareness. But a person keeps doing it over and over again, and maybe in a few weeks or a few months, that person becomes an expert driver. And driving through a traffic jam, driving through a difficult scenario, driving up a hill, driving down a hill, everything comes very naturally. So in the same way, Initially, it is just intellectual understanding. I am not the doer. But we keep bringing more and more awareness to everything we do, then one day you don't have to think, I am not the doer. You are not the doer. You are just awareness, and whatever is happening, you flow with that awareness. It drops. But we must recognize that it is a process. If we start from our home to go to a hill station, and we are driving through the city, so there will be traffic jams, there will be slums on the side, there will be some difficult patches of the road. And finally you reach the hill, things start clearing up. So it's a journey that has to be undertaken. Though when you have reached the destination, then you merge into the destination, the journey is no longer relevant. Please keep yourself on mute. So it is a process, and it is also the end of the process. So no matter what we are doing, some people do a lot of prayer, some people do a lot of meditation, some people are always debating and examining things from an intellectual point of view. We must recognize that everybody is trying to find out something. Even a person who is a politician, who is a rogue, somebody maybe, everybody is trying to find out something. Why are they trying to find out what they are trying to find out? Because somewhere it has been their conclusion that I am incomplete, and if I find this thing, I will be better. I will be expanded. So all that everybody is doing to expand their area of existence, expand their influence, their knowledge, their wealth, their ability to know things. But at some point of time they begin to realize that whatever they have is not good enough. There is always disappointment waiting for them. And that is when people start turning within. So they meet a master, they come to a satsang, they start reading books, scriptures, they read about saints, and then they start realizing that whatever I have on the outside, it's okay. But I must find some peace and find my true nature. So this is when they start going within, then the doership begins to drop. And whether you know it or not, you are doing this every day. Imagine the most wonderful day of your life, when everything worked according to your needs, your expectations. You really had a great time. You had the best of food, the best of company, the best of thought, entertainment, the best of praise heaped upon you. But even on that day at the end, what happened? You felt tired. Your eyes had the best scenes playing out before them, but they somehow became not interested in what was there before them. Your ears, which were listening to all this nice music, all the sounds of praise, of such happy conversation, those ears they went into a state where they were no longer interested in that conversation or the sound. This skin, this sense of touch. You wore the best of the clothes. You enjoyed people's touch, the hugs that you received. But at the end of the day, the skin does not want to have the sense of touch. You might have had the best of food, but yes, the tongue was not willing to taste anything anymore. So what happened? You just went to the bed, you lay down, and you let the body be. And when you let the body be, the senses start turning within, and the world outside starts disappearing. So even on the best of the day of your life, you still had the need to get into a state where the senses had to turn within. And what happened when the senses turned within? For some time the mind was still active. So you experience something which is known as dream state. But even in the dream state, you were the doer, you were still the doer. Because whatever dreams you see, you normally think it's happening to me. I am the one who is watching this. And yet, if the awareness goes further within, you get into a state where even the mind disappears. And you are in a state where the senses are not active, the mind is not active. Both have gone to sleep. And that is the best time for relaxation. When you are in deep sleep, you don't even know whether you exist or not. There is no doer. It is for a different reason, because there is no light of awareness. You are asleep. So you don't know whether I am alive or dead. Yet, on a particular night, if you can sleep well like this in deep sleep for a few hours, you become absolutely rejuvenated and you wake up with great energy, with great light, with great understanding. We have the example of this great mathematician Ramanujan, who used to get solutions to the problems posed before him by other mathematicians in sleep. And he would get up in the middle of the night and start writing down whatever he had received. So there is tremendous knowledge in this state when there is no doer. But this is deep sleep. Sleep has its limitation. In the sleep we are not awake. We are not aware. There is a beautiful analogy in our scriptures. It is said that there was a blind man. He had lived in a particular area for a long time, so he knew all the pathways. He could even climb a mountain. And he knew that on top of a hill there was a cave. And this cave had the choicest of gems and jewels, the best of rubies, the diamonds. And he would go there every night. And he had a stick. With the help of that stick, he would feel what is lying in his path in the cave. And there used to be some pieces of copper. And when the stick was hit this piece of copper, it would make noise. So he would pick up those pieces of copper and come down, sell them, make some money. And the money would end by the end of the day, and he would go back again in the night looking for his treasure. But he did not know What great treasures are lying in that cave. If he had the eyes to see, he would have picked up a ruby instead, or a diamond, and his poverty of a lifetime would have disappeared with one pick. But he did not know. And because he did not know, he had to go to that cave every night to pick up copper, which he could sell and make some money. So we are more or less like that blind man. We drop our doership and go to the core of our own being every night. But because we are asleep, we are not aware. We do not know what great light exists there. What great qualities exist there. And we cannot draw upon those qualities or that light. So our life remains like that of the blind man. So we wake up in the morning because we have had good sleep. We feel energetic, but by the end of the day, that energy is exhausted. And we have to go back again to sleep, to that sense of becoming unaware, just to draw upon that little amount of energy every day. So if we were to drop the doership and we remain in a state of high awareness, then even sleep becomes samadhi. In his prayer, in the Shiva Manas Puja, the Bhakta says, Nidra Samadhi Sthiti, ki, O Lord, let my sleep be the state of samadhi. And it is said that the great men or the sages, they don't sleep. They are always awake. But even in that state of intense awareness, they are in samadhi. So there is no sense is working, no mind is working. And yet there is absolute awareness. There used to be a great sage called Meher Baba in Ahmednagar, Maharashtra. I met somebody who was his disciple. And Baba put him through a great training. Baba used to sleep for a few hours in the night. And how he was given the seva of keeping a watch outside Baba's room. So he would sit in the veranda or wherever it was. And the area was full of mosquitoes. There would be those big mosquitoes, they would come and bite. And the instruction by Baba was that you will sit still, you will not move. Now mosquitoes would be biting him, they would be humming into his ears, creating all kinds of distractions. And the moment he would pick up his hand to hit a mosquito, from inside the room, Baba would say, and that was it. So even though he would be perfectly at rest or asleep, he was aware and he knew what is happening outside his room. So this is the state in which the saints or the sages who are enlightened masters, they are. Now what can we do? So there is a very simple thing about awareness. In one of her talks, my Guru my Swami Chidvilasanand once said that mind your thoughts, they become your words. It's true. The kind of thought we have, that is how we speak. She said, mind your words. They become your actions. Mind your actions. Because if repeated, they become your habits. Mind your habits. Because they become your character. And mind your character because it will become your destiny. So everything begins from thought. If we are becoming more and more aware of the thoughts that we have, we can bring transformation to how we think, how we speak, what kind of actions we perform, what are our habits going to be, and what will be our character and what will be our destiny. So whatever destiny we have today, it is the summation of all the thoughts, all the words, all the actions, all the habits, and the character that we have had through so many past lives and in this life. If we want to change that, we have to make a fundamental change at the level of the thought. It is not easy because the mind is prone to thinking in a particular way. So there will be failures, but that is where we must bring love to our practice. If the mind traps us in our patterns and we recognize that we have been trapped, so instead of blaming the mind, we just be more compassionate with the mind and bring the mind to a certain practice that is going to create a sense of equanimity that will bring greater light. And if we keep doing this over and over again, and the mind gets saturated with the practice, then it will transform completely. And then everything else will follow. There are umpteen ways. For some, it will be the path of bhakti, just surrender at the feet of the Lord or the God or Goddess or the Guru. For some, it may be knowledge. If the intense knowledge comes, a person can be transformed immediately. So there are people who go through some deep life challenges. You talk to many of the army officers. They have lived through life and death situations. And something happens where death is certain. And yet they come out of it because something shifts within themselves and they start, instead of all the training, all the mind games, everything is just gone. They just allow themselves to flow with awareness. And the awareness knows everything. And the impact of this is so strong that there is a fundamental shift in their awareness. There are many people who are caught in accidents. There are many people who come through challenges in life which are very intense challenges. And suddenly there is a shift. So it can happen in any manner, in many ways. And we must be open for it within ourselves and for others. And never judge anybody because everybody is searching for some higher truth. Even if they seem totally entangled in the world, they are still searching because they think that if they become superior in the world, they would have something. If they have more money, more power, they are better off. So let them explore. Everybody is exploring. A person who becomes a big gangster, he is also exploring his life. He wants to taste power by whatever means. So everybody will be growing in their own way. We have nothing to judge. But we must look at our own life and see what is going to work for me. And when that deduction has been made, and when one has understood that this is my path, then stick to that path. And it is so mysterious that sometimes it may happen that your heart is dry and circumstances will be created that you are driven towards bhakti. But you start doing bhakti and then at some point of time your masters feel that bhakti is there, the heart is no longer dry, but understanding is missing. So then circumstances may be created that you are driven towards knowledge. When bhakti and knowledge is there, but you are getting cut off from the world, you are not living the life of that understanding or from that understanding. Then what happens? The masters will create situations where you go out and serve. So the path of service will be opened. So don't get stuck in any path and don't have any judgment. Whatever comes in your life and however you are being guided, take that, experiment with that. Don't get attached to the path. The only attachment you should have is to the goal. Because when you are walking the path, any path, when you take a step, the ground on which you were standing previously is left behind. Now, if you are so much in love with the ground where you are standing that you don't want to take the step, then you will remain stuck. So don't think twice when you have to take this step forward and leave this ground in which you are standing behind. Because when you reach the goal, you will have to merge with the goal. When there is no doership, then you as individual being would not be there. You will have the body. You will do the same thing. You will eat the same food, do the same daily chores, deal with the same issues in life. But it will be God who is doing this through you. That is what happens when doership is dropped. But until that happens, we have to struggle with the challenge. It's a daily challenge. Every day we make this intention. I am not the doer. And something or the other will happen which will bring us to doership. And we would know that, oh, I still have that sense of doership. I am still caught up in my mind. I am trapped by my habit patterns, my thought patterns. I am judging. But knowing that I am trapped, I am doing this, I am doing that, that itself creates an opening where you can move forward. So when you feel that you are trapped, don't judge yourself then also. It's a process. You are fortunate that you know that you are trapped. You look around in the world. How many people have this question to ask, which Leelaji asked today? What honesty is there when she says that when I say I am not the doer, it feels artificial. But that is the quality of a true seeker. And the seeker is not afraid to admit that I don't get it. But that is how one is going to get it one day. And when it happens, when the doer is dropped, then nothing else will happen. One of the Swamis in my Guru's ashram, and she told me one day that when enlightenment happened, the gods did not descend from the heavens to with some musical instruments to sing praises for me. It just happened. And I knew that I was not the same person anymore. There was a greater clarity, a greater sense of ease, and a spontaneity in whatever I was doing. But I was doing the same thing. I was a Swami. I was teaching the courses in the ashram. I was doing my daily swadhyaya. I was doing the same thing. So this is it. And this is everybody's journey. So there is no room for any judgment, because the moment we judge, we get trapped. I and my wife, we both came on the spiritual path together. She was very lucky because right from day one she had great experiences in meditation, and for me meditation was never an experience. It was just sitting quietly and with closed eyes and trying to figure out what is there in the darkness, and it continues to be like that. So for many years I used to think I am not good enough, and because I thought I am not good enough, I was not looking at the kind of transformation which was happening in my life. I did not appreciate myself. So for each person, the unfolding of the energy, the unfolding of spiritual progress will be unique. So if you compare yourself with the others in terms of the experience they are having, you will never progress, because you will always feel I am not good enough. That is why it is important to look at your thoughts, look at your actions. Every day examine, have I changed? Have I learned something new? Has my life become different? And if that process of continuous examination happens, then that's it. One day, when it finally happens, then nothing else will need to be done. But till then, it will be some effort, some effort. But you cannot make it an effort as if you are executing an action plan. I was a government servant, and every year we were given an action plan. This is your action plan. This is what you have to achieve. This is your target. And you work for that. But a spiritual life, there is only one target, but it is not within your control. So you just do what naturally comes to you, that this is what you need to do. And the target will be achieved whenever it is achieved. In this lifetime or another lifetime, it doesn't matter. But with awareness, one thing is certain: there will be greater light in your life. You will change. And gradually you become the carrier of that light. And those people who come in contact with you, they will begin to change. So doership or non-doership, we should let go of this question. We should always get to know, am I bringing more awareness to my thoughts, my words, my actions? And if we just do this, things will be improving. There will be a dynamic relationship. If we just work with a concept, then there will be challenges because we can get trapped in the concept. So awareness is the way forward. And we can just do this every day. You know, a great saint had given me one simple practice. He said 30-40 times a day. And these kids play this game of statue, and then one kid will run up to another and say statue, and the other one, whenever, whether he or she is moving or whatever, they just stop and hold themselves as a statue. So he said, you just call yourself a statue. And the trick is that you examine what was the last thought you had in your mind. And you examine the thought. Is it something which is really necessary? We need certain thoughts which are necessaries relating to our work, our bodily necessities, life's necessities. And he said, if it is not that, then you examine what is it. Is it a thought which is rooted in memory? Memory is useless. What are you going to do with memory? It's a trap. Examine, is it a thought rooted in your judgment? And I did that. And I found that 99% of the time my thoughts were rooted in memory. So and so person was not nice to me. Oh my God, how could he do this? The memory. What had happened has happened. What can be done about it in this present moment? Nothing. It's just a mental hallucination. Oh, these fellows are bad. They're not good enough. They are plotting against me. Whenever we are in a kind of a service environment, there is this common theme that everybody thinks that everybody else is plotting against that person. And I found that this is the kind of thoughts I have. So once I became aware that these are the thoughts that I have, it became possible for me to do something about it, to change the thought pattern. So whenever a thought like this comes, be aware, oh my God, I'm getting trapped in this again. Let me move away from this. And it started working. I'm still working on some of these patterns. So the thing is like this, that this is a very potent way of becoming aware. Are we really aware of what is happening in the mind? So it may be a good idea to, for a few days or for a few weeks, to have this kind of play this game of statue and figure out what is there in my mind. And I'm sure what is going to come up for many people will not be very happy. It will be something difficult. But at least we know that these are the difficulties or these are the challenges that we have with our mind. And we can work for it. Knowledge is going to make each one of us free. But it is not the bookish knowledge. It is knowledge about how our minds, senses, and thought patterns are working. Once we know this, the process of disengagement starts happening. We stop engaging with those kind of habit patterns, thought patterns. And when we start disengaging, then they begin to leave us. So it is, at one level it is very easy. At another level, when it comes to actually working with some of these hardened patterns, it is going to be a challenge. But that is why it is said that going on the spiritual path is the greatest adventure in life. You can climb Mount Everest, but finding the truth within is perhaps more difficult than climbing Mount Everest. Because the challenges lie within, and we often do not want to confront ourselves on what is wrong with us or what is not so palatable. But this is it. Does this make sense? Any thoughts on this? Just unmute. हाँ लीला जी कुछ बोलना चाहती
Wonderful, sir. You have clarified many of my doubts. I have got some light on what I should do.
हैं? I'm just sharing what I did for myself.
I just told you what I should do. That I should do in quotation marks is a very different.
It is a great question. See, it's a great question. It's the
Yes,
question.
it's troubling me a lot. So you have thrown so much light on it. Of course, it needs hard work, but I shall.
It is not hard work. You see, if we think that it is hard work, then it becomes difficult.
I know. I
It
can
is
understand.
loving work. So it
Yes,
is. We
I
are
enjoy
working with
doing it.
ourselves. So we cannot.
Now
There
I
is no
can.
scope for.
Now, sir, I look forward to following what you said.
Yeah, that's
I
wonderful.
think it's an interesting thing to. I have got some. Thank you so much. I got
Thank you. I must have been a preacher in some lifetime. So once I get into that kind of mold, I
That's
just.
very practical. What you said, very practical.
So मंजरी जी आपको कैसा लगा? नहीं
Yeah.
यार.
Yes. Now I can hear. No, I really, lot of clarity. One second.
I think she has gone. She has disappeared. Anybody else? Please.
Yes, Guruji.
हाँ जी बोलिए.
Sorry, actually, I don't know. There was some disruption.
हाँ बोलिए जी.
Actually, clarity to है, but I just want one clarification.
हाँ बोलिए.
You remember you had taken me to Mungle sir
Yes.
when we both posted in Pune. And I had raised some doubts. I said कि मैं पूजा वूजा नहीं कर पाती हूँ, मैं भगवान को नहीं याद करती हूँ. What I should do? I mean, I feel as if I'm missing something. तो उन्होंने मुझसे कहा था कि जो आप कर रही हैं वो आप करते रहिए. I could not understand what exactly he meant, and I didn't have the heart to ask him what exactly he said. I mean, what he meant. He said जो आप कर रही हैं वो ठीक कर रही हैं. I didn't know. I thought maybe.
I will try to answer this.
जी.
I had the same challenge that I was not doing anything which can be put in the bracket of a ritual. There are people who follow a daily ritual, like you get up, you pray, you light the incense, you meditate before the Guru's picture, do this, do that, whatever. And in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, it is written that to know the truth, you have to do something with tremendous regularity over a long period of time. So I just asked Mungle sir that this is what is Patanjali says in his Yoga Sutra. My problem is that I cannot do anything with regularity. So what is there in store for me? Is this life going to be a waste? And in his usual style he said, Gaur साहब मैं आपको एक अभ्यास बताता हूँ. So I just sat very erect, ready to grasp what he was going to say. And he said, आप एक नियम ये पालो कि आपका कोई नियम नहीं है. Now it seems very strange. And it seemed very strange to me. I thought he is just, you know, ऐसे बच्चे को पुचकारते हैं, being nice to me. But then I understood what he was saying. There are some people who are continually searching. And their search is an inner search which is not dependent upon anything on the outside. So when you go before a master, the master knows what you are doing. So for such people, and there may be some old souls who have done all kinds of practices over the last many lifetimes. So when they do these practices again there could be two things. Some of them will get hooked onto the practice like they were hooked onto in their previous lives. And the others, because they have experienced these practices, and they have understood that the practice by itself does not, it takes you higher, but it does not give you realization. Because as long as you are doing the practice, you are in the path. You have not reached the destination. So, what is important is the search. And the search you must do according to your own growth pattern, according to your own way. So when the master sees that you don't need to fall into a pattern, he'll say, okay, jo kar rahe ho, karte raho, theek hai.
Okay.
So it is like this. So because the master is seeing what is the real worth of the person who is before him. And I can just share this. We used to go, I went to Munglesar so many times, hundreds of times. And what I found was that here was a master who was sitting in his chair giving darshan at his home. It was used to be a very informal environment. And there would be people who would come, bow down to him, take his blessings and go away. And there would be some others, when they would come and bow down to him, he would also fold his hands and do a namaste. So one day I asked him, sir, when you are giving darshan, you are the master, you are sitting in the highest seat. So why is it that when people come and some people come and have your darshan, they bow down to you, you also fold your hands and you do a namaste to them? And he answered that, look, when a person comes before me, I see all his past lives, I see where he is heading. So there are those people who are coming before me, and I know that they are going to become masters in course of time, either in this lifetime or maybe the next lifetime. So for some reason the Guru principle has been ignited in them. And because I see that, I may be a master in this body, but I am also a disciple. So when they come before me, I do a pranam, I do a namaste to the Guru principle which is there inside them, which has been ignited. So
Very interesting. Very interesting.
what a beautiful understanding.
I truly feel blessed, while we were leaving, he hugged me and said, you are like my daughter, if you remember.
Yes.
So I really felt blessed at that time when he hugged me.
That is the nature of the Guru. The Guru is only love. The Guru does not do anything to please anybody. It's very genuine. And it is like this, that being in the presence of the Master is always great. Like I said, anybody connecting to a Master, whether he's there in the physical body or not, just talking about him here, it can bring up a lot of energy. And everybody who is present, they are receiving something right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, should we close, or anybody wants to say something? Then we can end.
Yes, Guru.
Yes.
Can I say?
Who is this?
लज्जा.
Lajja Budi. Yes.
मैं एक्चुअली जब भी मैंने उनका सुना कि डूअरशिप का, तो मैंने डूअरशिप वो अलग मीनिंग का ले दिया. मैं यानी ओके मैंने ये किया, उनके लिए ये किया, उनके लिए ये किया, वही सोचा कि डूअरशिप ये है. और यहाँ तो आपने जो डीप मीनिंग में इतना वास्ट ले लिया, such a nice explanation, and you went so much with the flow of your thoughts and words. I was amazed.
No,
I
but
didn't know that
our
doership. मेरा
doership,
मतलब
normally we
आपका
associate with the kind of doership or non-doership that itself becomes a trap.
हम्म,
The thought that I am not the doer, the thought that I have no ego, that itself is a statement made by ego. So when the flow is there, there is no doer and there is no non-doer also.
हम्म,
Everything, all differences have dissolved.
मैंने मीनिंग वही सोचा था कि वो क्वेश्चन वैसे है, because I've heard of late many people talking about जो करना है करो, don't keep on talking about what you've done, like don't praise yourself. तो
That is,
वही मेरे मन में था.
नहीं, ये भी एक बंधन है ना. This is you got an idea that do something and don't talk about it. This is
हाँ,
an idea. So if that idea is there, you are still a doer because you are following a particular idea.
yes, yes.
So that is it.
But आपने काफी deep और vast गए. Yeah,
ये तो
it was really good.
and what is there? Dr. Amol says absolute sense. Thank you, Amol. Dr. Reva says great lecture. The example of statue is a very simple way to observe our thoughts. Thank you. That is wonderful.
तो मैं ये एनालाइज करती हूँ. Many times I analyze. So ये जो स्टैचू का है तो मुझे काम आएगा, and I have been doing off and on, but not regularly, you know. So I need to start doing again now.
No, if you do it for a few days or a
Yeah.
few weeks, then you know what are the binding patterns of your thought. So when we know what is binding us, then we can rise above that.
हाँ मैं करती हूँ. I've been doing since few years now, but
Okay.
not at a vast, not many times a day, but I have been doing, so I know I stop myself and then try to introspect
So
and
for some time you have to do it continuously.
हाँ
Say,
वो
because then only you can see what is binding you. What are the what kind of thoughts are arising, and what is the nature of those thoughts, and what is binding.
हाँ हाँ हाँ
Okay.
बरोबर.
I'm sorry we
Thank
didn't
you,
do any
Guruji.
healing today, but Leela ji had asked such a question, and I don't know, something happened and started flowing.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Guru.
Thank you, everyone, and we won't do
मुझे
Antipat because
मुझे
I have another
fear
session coming up.
fear और confidence का ये करना था, healing करवाना था. I'll tell you the topic. मैं क्यों बोल रही हूँ ऐसे, मैं
We will do it.
मेरा कोर्ट का केस चल रहा है इसके लिए.
ठीक है, we will do it one day.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, and thank you to the masters through whom whatever I spoke came through. And may God bless all of us. Bye-bye.
Guruji, may I say something? This is
Yes,
Lopa.
Yes, Lopa, go ahead.
Yes, so, this hearing you has made me accept myself a little better because, I am like that I meditate some days I pray, some days I read, nothing is consistent. Everything, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, all the pieces are there, but they're not, coming together. So I'm not, on one path. I don't stick to one path, but I'm doing various things at various times, and I keep admonishing myself for that. That why don't you just pick one? But now I'm able to accept myself after you said that, everybody's journey is different and maybe this is my journey. And I was thinking like, that say,
Lopa, but one
yeah,
caveat. One
yes,
caveat.
yes.
You see, you accept yourself, you do, but you become more aware.
Mm-hmm.
If you are becoming a spiritual tourist,
Yeah, something looks like that.
or
Yeah.
or or you are a seeker who is not, who is continuously seeking. So
Mm-hmm.
just keep looking at how your life is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And that will give you the confidence that even if you are not involved in rituals, even if you are doing different things at different times, if
Mm-hmm.
that continuous change is happening on the inside,
Yes, yes, that
then
is happening.
then
Yes,
you accept yourself completely.
yes. Oh,
Even
wonderful.
otherwise, accept. Don't judge. Don't admonish.
Correct.
And
Yes,
see,
that's what I've been doing.
make different experiments and see how each one works.
Yes.
And then you can draw a conclusion that will be a more dispassionate conclusion, and that will help you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.